Welcome back, medical science explorers. Today I'm excited to introduce my method of cardiac index calculation to you. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, most of us using fixed principle to calculate cardiac output. Alright, we're using our oxygen consumption that is derived by basic metabolic rate, correct? Yeah. And we will need our body surface area. For that, we will need our weight and height to be calculated. We'll need our hemoglobin concentration value. Okay, we will need oxygen binding capacity. And we will need two blood gases. We'll need arterial blood gas and we'll need mixed venous blood gas. And from those, we will obtain our saturation values. What else? We'll use a conversion factor of 10 to convert our deciliters to liters because we're using liters per minute for cardiac output evaluation. Okay. That seems like a straightforward equation. The problem with this, that sometimes in acute situation, you might not be able to obtain the weight and height of the patient. And even if you do, you might not know for sure if those values are accurate, right? Because sometimes it's just been ballparked during admission. You know, they look at the guy and like, oh, it looks 5'10". Oh, it looks 220 pounds, okay? Maybe they didn't zero the bed, who knows? But nonetheless, even if you're trying to obtain the cardiac index, which is cardiac output divided by your body surface area, right? Okay, so what are we looking at? Looks like we regurgitating the same value here, all right? Is that correct? That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Because if we add body surface area here, right? And we'll make this a cardiac index. What are we looking at? Well, we can easily eliminate these values. So what are we left with? We're left with VO2, oxygen consumption, hemoglobin, okay, and you will have your blood gas values. Right? So, from those, which of the values you already have? Oh, those are standard, right? This is standard, this is standard. So all you need to calculate someone's cardiac index is hemoglobin and you need two blood gases. All right, sometimes you don't even have to obtain arterial blood gas. You can just estimate it based on the patient's pulse ox, if you have a good waveform, right? So, but nonetheless, let's simplify it even further, right? So oxygen consumption is, by convention, 125 milliliters per minute per meter square, okay? And this is for someone, if you're using MedCalc, someone's age less than 70, they will use 125. 70 and older, they will use 110, because as we age, our basic metabolic rate slows down. Okay? And we'll keep that in mind. But first, let's simplify it further to get a formula for cardiac index calculation for a young individual, for a young person. Okay. So we will need our hemoglobin and we'll use SaO2, which this will be in decimal point, right? So without even writing this down, we can just simplify it. 125 over 1.34 over 13.4. That will be your 9.3. And that's your formula. Look at that. How simple is that? Wait a second, but is it? Let's just double check. Should we double check? Listen, I'm not gonna waste my time, discussing dimensions. But yes, if you will plug in those values according to what I told you, you will get cardiac index in liters per minute per body surface area, meter square. And if you're trying to figure out why is it still in meters square? Well, because your oxygen consumption is already having that body surface in it. So you don't have to use it twice, right? Okay, so that's our formula. 9.3 divided by your hemoglobin in grams per deciliter, which is standard dimension that we use in American lab. And you will use decimal points, right? Decimal form for the saturation values. Okay, so what about an older person? Well, for the older person, you will, instead of 9.3, you will use 8.2. Okay, so it's either 9.3 or 8.2, depending on the person's metabolic rate. Okay, and look how easy and how small the numbers are. You can even crunch it in your head, right? If someone's hemoglobin around 9, right, someone's been bleeding. A lot of critical patients will have hemoglobin around 9, 8. So you already simplify. This is 1 over your fraction. Let's say this is your 95% saturation, and your mixed venous 55%. So what are we left with? Well, let's say again, this is not already going in the formula. I'm just giving you an example, right? So you will get to the point and you will say, okay, this is 9, if hemoglobin is 9.3 also, or even close to it. So you will know this is 1 over 0.04. So the patient's cardiac index will be 2.5, which is low margin of normal, right? Okay, and that's what I liked about it. You can plug it in on the calculator real quick, or even calculate it in your head, and there you go. You have a quick method of calculating cardiac index without knowing someone's weight and height or estimating them. Alright, well, thank you for your attention. I will see you in the next video, in which I would like to discuss partial pressures of oxygen. That's right. And just a quick reminder, I dropped this formula on the board so you can take a nice screenshot. And you can visit my webcall. I will put the link into the description. Thank you.